Good afternoon. My name is Raymond Skinner, and I'm Chairman of the DCHA Board of Commissioners, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a regular monthly meeting of the DC Housing Authority being held today, October 8th, 2025. This meeting is being held via Zoom video conferencing, and the board is here, at least some members of the board are here in person, and the time is 1:02 p.m. At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to allow for some personal reflections. Thank you. So for today's meeting, we have invited members of the public to sign up to speak via our website. For those who would just like to view the meeting can do so live via the DCHA website, which is linked to our Facebook Live page. The Board of Commissioners welcomes public input on matters of concern and offers you today an opportunity to express your views during the public testimony portion of this meeting. However, we require that members of the public who attend our meeting abide by certain rules of the forum to allow the board to complete its business. For this virtual meeting, DCHA asks that you remain muted until you are instructed to speak. Members of the public cannot engage in any disruptive conduct or loud, threatening, or abusive language during board meetings. This includes any loud outbursts, shouting during times when during times when you've not been asked to speak. Anyone who violates these rules will be removed from the virtual meeting. Serious or repeated violations of the rules may result in your being barred from speaking at future board meetings. However, we do appreciate your interest in the business before us today, and I want to thank you in advance for abiding by these rules of conduct. Before we go on, let me just say for the record, I wanted to acknowledge that we are operating under the Housing Authority Resident Empowerment Emergency Act of 2025, which was passed by the DC Council on July the 28th. So under this act, Commissioners Burbridge and Clay, who under the STAR board were non-voting members as of today, or as of July 28th, are now full voting members of this interim board. So at this time, I would ask for a roll call to determine if we have a quorum.
Sure. Denise Blackson.
Here.
Rosa Burbridge.
Present, I'm here.
Thank you. Leroy Clay.
Present.
Thank you. Jim Dickerson.
Present.
Ronnie Harris.
I'm here.
Thank you. Chris Murphy. Jennifer Reed.
Present.
Thank you. Teresa Silla.
Present.
Thank you. And Chairman Raymond Skinner.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I'd like the commissioners to consider the minutes from the September 10th, 25 board meetings. Are there any additions, corrections, changes to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. So moved. The second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Let the minutes stand approved as presented. Next, we're going to have our executive director's report. Unfortunately, Director Pettigrew had a family emergency and is not here today, but his able assistant, Nicole Whitcliffe, will give the executive director's report. So before you even start, the first thing I've gotten inquiries about with the shutdown, what's happening, do we have any money, are we going to be able to pay the landlords and so forth. So what do you know about shutdown and how it's going to affect us.
All right, great question. So Nicole Wycliffe, Deputy Executive Director. So we know that we will be funded until the end of November because that budget was approved. So that's operating subsidies that come in from public housing side and voucher dollars that come in. So we do know that. Okay. Sorry.
Any other?
From the
things that
shutdown?
we
No,
know
we do
that-
not know because it's shut down. So that's the only intel that I have. Just reading that we know we're funded through the end of November. Well, one other piece, and we'll talk about this a little bit later because it's one of the resolutions. Generally, something for RAD items that are ready to go to closing, they generally will work on that. So even through the shutdown. So that's a resolution coming up. So for Park Morton, so that should not be stalled in any way.
Thank you.
All right, so again, I'll get into the Executive Director's report. Again, Nicole Wycliffe, Deputy Executive Director. So on our property management operations side, we had a small uptick in our occupancy. We're at about 86.47. As you may recall from last month's meeting, we are taking the first tranche of bond properties that are vacant units offline. So we started that a few months ago. That continues. So out of the 9 first properties, 8 of the properties have been submitted and approved to HUD. So some of the units that are moved offline are a result of that. The team continues to lease 2 families off of the wait list. We had 10 new admissions in the month of September. Of course, we're utilizing units for any emergency transfers or other type of transfers needed as well. So that would be in the detailed report. Our teams are continuously turning units as well. Again, not for the first 9 units on the bond tranche, but however, other units, they're being assessed. We assess them in a small, maybe takes 2 weeks or less to turn, medium, up to 30 days, high, over 30 days. And we're trying to keep up the pace of turning those units as well. On to our voucher side of the house. As you'll see, our federal vouchers are at 100%. Our local LRSP vouchers are at 95%, and the local DHS MOU, where the referrals come in through DHS, is at 97%. So the team has been working closely with DHS and other partners to expedite any emergency moves that are needed for different populations. The team continues to just work through all the submissions and RAFTAs. We still do have vouchers on the street. So although we're at 100%, those vouchers will continue. If they select a place and get leased up, we'll still continue to work that. Generally through attrition, that number balances out. So it'll go up and down because you have some people leaving the program, coming on. But as of right now, we're at the 100%, and we know over the months it's a moving target. On our resident services side of the house, they're busy every month. So they have about 15 activities going on. We had 3 rebuilding communities. We had some other great activities. Our ATP members again went and got fitted for custom made suits again. There's some Section 3 hiring and coordination and resources, resume building, many other activities for and just self-sufficiency activities that have gone on through the month of September, in which we look at every month. Again, that's in the report. I'd like to also add this Friday, I know this is going to be a resolution kind of too, but this Friday it will be our ribbon cutting of the Park Morton, and many of us bought that property. Very beautiful. So we'll see others out on Friday.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Are you having questions? From the board members, any of the board members who are online have any questions? No questions. So last month, we had a lot of discussion about how we're going to deal with the homeless population. And we talked a lot about an upcoming meeting that was to be September 17th. And so can you just bring the board up to date on how the September 17th meeting went and kind of where we are?
So just the September 17th, was that with our partners? Alex?
Yes.
Okay. 'Cause
Yes.
Okay. Me too. I'm like, oh, no, we were talking about the preferences here and there. All right. So yes, so the team that we brought on, Alika, or Aleka, I apologize, but they got the group back together again. So many of our different partners just to talk about the main is to how can we streamline the efforts from application coming into lease up. So the team got together. We're waiting on that final report. Recommendations came out of the first set of meetings of how we can, like I said, streamline or cut down the number of days. There's a couple of buckets that we expect to have it back. Stuff that does not require any type of administrative action, either through the admin plan, DCMR, that staff can just change as a process or a policy. Also, there'll be a bucket of items that could be a longer lead time item that are in law that we can attempt to recommend those changes. So we are waiting on that. The meeting was well attended. Unfortunately, we were called to another meeting, myself and Director Pettigrew, so we missed that one. But when the report comes out, we'll be happy to share that with the board as well.
Any opportunity to either preview the report or produce the report in advance of the 21st of this month? The ICH has a Housing Solutions Committee, and I have been fielding lots of questions about expediting lease up and what the progress on that has been with the Housing Authority. So I would really appreciate an update that actually includes a lot more detail about the negotiations and the agreements that, so I would appreciate it if we could
We'll
set that as a
back.
target date.
We'll circle back with the consultant just to make sure that we have it, we're reviewing it internally and hopefully have it by the 21st. Even if we can't share, at least we'll have some bullet points of what we can share if it's not back, but we anticipate it being back.
Okay.
Okay.
The ask from the community and the ICH is to have a work group that is dedicated to expediting lease up so that we can follow up on the recommendations and be sharing metrics with the community in a way that is not readily available, and readily and publicly available. So it would be great if you could also put some thought to what you are comfortable sharing publicly as progress, maybe a dashboard of some sort. I really appreciate the way that you have accommodated all of my requests for the internal dashboards that the board reviews. And I think it would be a great benefit to the Housing Authority to demonstrate how hard you are working to share some of that information publicly. So I would appreciate that consideration.
Okay.
Any other questions for?
I just have one. So because I haven't been in the mix of this. Has there been a sort of a dialogue?
Is the board aware we lost video and audio from within the office?
I don't know. I just texted a few folks to see if they knew that the feed dropped. Because I'm not seeing anything either.
Nor I. I heard Commissioner Dickerson and then it just went blank.
For the
Working closely for some months.
I think we lost.
We're having some kind of sound issue. Are we having a sound issue?
Technical issue.
Can they?
we can see you and hear you now. We lost you for a few minutes.
Okay. We know at what point.
The last we heard was Commissioner Dickerson asking about Commissioner Silla, starting to ask Commissioner Silla a question, and then it dropped.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dickerson was asking about a homeless preference and whether we have made any progress on adopting a homeless preference for the admin and the ACOP plan. And I was saying that that was a part of the update that was going to come up when we were talking about extending the admin plan and emergency. And is it like 90 days that extension?
It would be 120 days, but I think the update is we're discussing it internally, but I don't think we have any details to discuss at this point, but we're discussing it.
And the homeless preference.
Yeah.
And how that gets worked with.
Yes, and we're,
That's a fair and equitable for for everybody here.
yes, understood.
So that's my mind.
That's a conversation that's happening in the committee for operations and administrative services. Yes.
And just to add, as I said, DHS works closely with our staff, so if they have any that need to be expedited, the staff is expediting them.
Thank you.
Great. No other questions? We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is our public testimony. And we start as always with residents, and each has 3 minutes to provide their testimony.
First, we're gonna call Paulette Matthews. Paulette Matthews, and as a reminder, *6 to unmute yourself. Want to move forward. Next, I have Norman. I believe this is Propest. I know we just sent you a promotion request. Mr. Propus, can you *6 if you're having issues with unmuting?
Could you guys hear me?
We can.
Oh, okay. Thank you guys for having me speak today. I just want to take time out and thank Ms. Boulard. She's been a great help assisting me or getting my deposit paid from over here where I live at. And also, I just want to bring this up. Some of the tenants over here. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I'm here. I do apologize for that. Yes, I wanted to take time out to thank Ms. Boulard, who's been helping me with my housing, getting the deposit paid. And she reached out to me like every week to make sure I'm taken care of. I just want to take time out to thank her very much, and Ms. Palmer and Ms. Hernandez. All you guys have been a great help for me. That's all I want to take time out and thank special people with the DCHA housing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Chris Oten. Chris Oten. Moving forward. Next, we have Kenneth Council. Kenneth Council, *6 to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
We can.
Hi, Mr. Council.
How are you? As a past experienced former commissioner at large and now the new elected second time citywide advisory board president, I can say with confidence that I'm watching the room, and I've watched for the past 2 years of how things are being done. There's some serious issues that have been brought to me by staff and all across the agency, that the same issues have gone over and over and over again, but never resolved. It appears that the leadership of the board, and once again, failing the agency and the residents, I'm pleading the board to do what's needed. I watch the morale. I can see the room is half empty today, even as far as being structured. You all are going to talk about the budget today when it should have been done last month. So it gives me hope that you all will be transparent and honest with the budget. I followed it the whole year. There's a lot of misconceptions of the money and the board. I'm hoping that who's in the room and the ones that are not in the room, that's a part of this board until the end of the year, that you all have some integrity and stop gaslighting the residents. I hate to say it, but it's dysfunctional. The morale that you all and some of the things that the ED and the chair shares, a lot of the commissioners don't know anything about it. And this is speaking of money and things that are happening factually. So I'm hoping that you all do what needs to be done to remove some people and they know who they are. I'm waiting to see what this budget looks like today with bated breath. There are a lot of issues, but one particularly, how can you rad the history of Langston? Someone please answer that today. How can you rad a historical site that's registered as a historical site and you're going to rad it where it won't be no longer considered public housing? There are a lot of issues that you all have not handled. I had a young lady on my site 5 times that she has been in 5 different hotels. Cosmetically, her house was done over, but you never attacked her issue, which was her plumbing. That's embarrassing for her to be out of her main dwelling and in 5 different hotels. Ridiculous. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Council.
Next, we have Patricia Malloy. Patricia Malloy, *6 to unmute yourself. I see we just promoted you to panelist.
Thank you. They just sent me the information. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patricia Malloy, former Lincoln Heights Resident Council President, now relocated to off-site project-based voucher unit at the Strand Residency. I would like to thank DCHA Chief Reese and his team and staff for having a health and wellness event on Saturday, September the 20th, 2025 in Lincoln Heights. There was so much positive feedback. Residents want more events like this. On September the 25th, Dr. Veronica Jenkins, Executive Director of Homes for Hope Incorporated, which is housed in Lincoln Heights, sent an email to Director Pettigrew, Sheila Miller, Nicole, and other DCHA staff regarding a partnership. They have been in Lincoln Heights and Bridgerton dwellings for over 10+ years. Homes for Hope has built harmony, generated wealth, personality, and family growth. Residents have received training in food handlers, home healthcare aid, OSCE training, CDL, and money management. The residents of Lincoln Heights, along with myself, is requesting that DCHA support their comprehensive case management program by funding the first quarter of the fiscal year 2026. By doing this, they will be able to continue the much-needed programs they provide until additional funding from DMPAG, better known as Deputy Mayor Planning and Economic Development. Lincoln Heights and the residents at this point need some type of programming for the agency, especially resident services. Sheila Miller, they know about the outstanding services that Homes for Hope have provided to the residents for the 10+ years that I was resident council president. Bashar Tyler, as well as others, can attest that not one time did I ask DCHA or use our resident participation fund. Homes for Hope provided everything, programming, activities for Lincoln Heights. I am asking and requesting that DCHA help finance Homes for Hope in order for them to continue to service the residents of Lincoln Heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Malloy.
Next, we have Karen Settles. Karen Settles. *6 to unmute.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes. I have growing concerns about the lack of resident representation on the board. I don't have the information that I would like to have as far as what is the structure of the board as it relates to how many people are on the board. I would like that to be answered today so that I can make some sense of some of the things that I'm hearing. My understanding is that Mr. Kenneth Council has become the chair of the Citywide Advisory Board. As a former chair of the Citywide Advisory Board, and knowing that the structure has changed with the coming of the Star Board, it's kind of confusing to keep up as a leader and as a community leader, particularly to explain to people the dynamics of how this board is structured. So I'm asking for help in understanding this board structure. I heard you say that there will be the two non-voting board members that were non-voting are now voting board members. What I don't understand is why there's no room to honor Mr. Council's input now as the newly elected chair of the advisory board. There has to be some way that he's weighed in to some of the decisions that are being made to give the residents perspective of what is happening, or at least be able to come back to the residents to give them some responses. We need to understand that in all fairness, residents are not being equally represented on the Star Board. That needs to change because of several dynamics, and they all are around mental health in general, and as well as just plain resident presence and input. And I need the board to know what the board's balance is going to be for resident input. Special needs people, as far as I'm concerned, are not represented here. I don't see seniors represented here. And I think that the board needs to make some changes that are necessary to create a better balance. Residents, as we all know, if it wasn't for residents, none of you all would be there. And we want to be represented just the way you would in any other arena. So please bear with me to say that We need resident input and we need a balance so that we won't be always outnumbered. This our board is we're outnumbered as a board. Thank you.
Sure. Without getting into too much detail, but the board is the board's composition is determined by legislation, right? And as the chair alluded to at the start of this meeting, there's recent legislation that changes the board's composition. The upshot, I think, for purposes of Ms. Settle's comment, is that Commissioner Burbridge does continue on the board. And, you know, until there are changes to the board's composition, and she is a resident representative. At the end of this, under the new legislation, at the end of this year, there will be elections for a new resident commissioner. And then under the legislation, at the end of next year, there will be elections for a second resident commissioner. And that's what the city council legislation provided for. So that's short, the nutshell.
But just to be clear, there are two resident representatives on the board right now, Commissioner Burbridge and Commissioner Blackson.
Okay. Next, I'm gonna come back. I understand I have two people I'm gonna come back to before I go into non-resident. Next, we have Donna Towns. Donna Towns. Star 6 to unmute yourself. I believe we just sent you a promotion request.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, good day, all. My name is Donna Towns, a former Park One resident. I'm now a housing choice voucher resident. And I want to ask the question, what I actually need is a follow-up appointment with Director Pettigrew and all persons that were in the initial meeting. And I also would just like to state I'm disappointed. While I've gone through all I've gone through with the unlawful eviction, or disposal of my property, self-help eviction, however you want to call it. It was supposed to be a lead abatement, but I lost all of my property, and that was definitely against the law. There was no judicial process. There was nothing. But anyway, I need to follow up on that. And I also would like to say I'm also disappointed that as I left Park Morton, the resident ledger got so altered when it was perfectly corrected from all its issues by Miss Nona Eve, and she is well missed by me. But I wish her well in her new endeavors. I will further send documentation regarding the issues within this supposed to be corrected resident ledger, which has been made worse. But I just want to thank Ms. Wycliffe for her assistance, also with helping me in DCHA, for helping me to have a transfer from Park Morton to this new dwelling in which I live. But even in the transfer, I lost a lot of documentation, I lost a lot of property, and a lot of things were broken. But I'm thankful for the transfer. And I just want to bring closure to the issues in which I've just spoken about, a follow-up appointment, as well as getting this resident ledger back to a lawful state. It's opposed to when a manager wants to increase rent, there's no documentation, there's no notification of rent change. There's not a process. The managers, the housing managers of Park One all
Miss Barnes, Miss Diallo, and Miss Littlejohn have done me totally wrong. And I need a resolution to get this off of my mind. This has been a weight on my mind for quite some time. So I thank you all for listening, and I'm looking forward to a housing choice. Looking forward to a follow-up meeting. Although I don't have as much documentation as I previously had, I will work with what I have. And I just need a solution, a resolution, a positive resolution. And the DC Housing Authority, the DC housing managers should be held accountable for their actions as well as their inaction, just as I have been compliant with my tenant obligations and my tenant rights have been violated. So I just thank you all for listening, and
Thank you, Ms. Townsend. We will follow up with you. Staff will follow up.
okay, thank you.
Next, I'm gonna go back to Chris Oaten. When I see your promotion request, Mr. Oaten, if you can accept and then *6 to unmute yourself. Mr. Oaten?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wow, I cannot imagine if I was not technically oriented how I would have gotten on this call. Seriously, it's been a trouble to get on this call today. My name is Chris Otten. I'm a 10-year DCHA client living in a project-based unit in Ward 1 for a decade. I want to thank you all for trying to help the lowest of the low-income residents who work hard in this city, by the way, but making minimum wage or less. We are low income, and so we need your housing, and we appreciate that. I want to make sure, did Ms. Bilal get my comments to you before this meeting? Have you seen my PDF comments?
I'm
Taking the head of no. Okay. That she said she would deliver that for me, and I also sent it to board@dchousing.org. I don't know if that's the correct email to reach you all, but that's a part of this testimony today is the email communications. It's just going into the ether apparently. I got a notice for inspection or reinspection back at the end of August. The inspection date was set for September 11th. I sent 5 emails to a growing circle of DCHA staff with each email. I didn't get any response, and I was simply asking to postpone the inspection or reschedule the inspection as the letter I received asked me to do if I was not to be available on the day that they picked. And that gets me to the question of picking days for inspections. Shouldn't that be a collaborative process with folks? We work, we have lives. We're being asked to stay in our units in an entire day. And yet we get sometimes less than 2 weeks notice. I got a week's notice for this one. So, you know, it's not fair for you guys to send people out and not have people there because we're not collaborating on a date to work together where we'll actually be home. And it's not fair to us. We feel disrespected. But let me get to the heart of my testimony today, which was, I heard on the call with Mr. Shaw yesterday, would you like to move Mr. Otten? Move from my home of 10 years, neighborhood of 25 years, where I've been an elected ANC commissioner, where I have all my personal, professional, health, and career networks, and my friends and neighbors. Move all the way across town from Adams Morgan, Ward 1, to Ward 8. Nothing wrong with Ward 8, but it's a long ways away where I have no networks, no friends, some friends, I guess, but no neighbors, no healthcare connects, no professional connects, no transportation connects. Why am I asking if I'd like to move. Well, I live in project-based Section 8 housing. There's only 3 of those projects apparently in the city. One of them where I'm at now, 2 in Ward 8.
Mr. Otten,
So there is mold and rodent infestations under my unit that I keep asking DCHA inspectors over the last 5 years to look at. And they have purposely chosen. They say, we can't look at it, we won't inspect it, they won't even glance at it.
Mr. Otten,
So I've had to pay for independent inspectors. Excuse me?
your time is up, so we're gonna ask that you wrap up.
My
And
time is up.
yes, your time is up.
Yes.
Each
Did you
person-
even hear me?
You had 3 minutes to provide your testimony.
I was prefacing how long it took me to get on this call. I would like to reclaim that time if I could, please.
Your time didn't start till you actually started talking. That's when the 3 minutes started. But we will, you've
And I
already.
started talking about the email and the lack of my ability to communicate with this board. And so I'm here this is my first time here speaking in years.
You've already been.
I need help.
We will follow up with you. There's nothing the board can do at this sitting to resolve your issue. So it has to be at a staff
My
level.
question is, why aren't inspectors looking at common spaces around my unit for mold and rat infestations? Why is it just the inside of the unit that matters when the stuff around the unit is actually affecting the health and quality of what's happening inside the unit? Can anybody answer that?
We will follow up with you and answer all of your questions.
I don't
Thank you.
believe you. I don't believe you. I don't get follow-up. I don't get email.
next we're gonna move to, I'm gonna go back to, before I go into non-resident, I'm gonna go back to Paulette Matthews. Paulette Matthews. *6. Paulette Matthews. Okay, I'm going to move forward with the non-residents. First, we have Henry Hall. Mr. Hall, we just sent you a promotion request. *6 to unmute yourself, and you will have 3 minutes.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Hall, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Henry Hall. I'm a landlord, a two-time, this is my second time dealing with a tenant with DCHA. This last experience was a completely unfavorable one in that the tenant was the worst I've ever had, and the process and her trying to leave the property, it didn't go the way it was explained to me, in that the specialist was going to allow for her to leave and skip out on the water bill. She asked me to keep her in place, and that just it went awry. She weaponized the Department of Buildings against me as a landlord, leaving me high and dry. I've reached out to several persons in this agency, and Mr. Waller, he got back to me, Ms. Bilal, but the landlord liaison never spoke with me, nor did anyone from mediation get back with me. I'm out of a lot of money as a result of that. I thought that maybe they would have lent a helping hand to the landlord more than what they have. In that, it takes tenants, I heard someone say, but it also takes landlords as well. And not all of us are wealthy, so sometimes when we have questions or whatever, we have to lean to these agencies to explain some of the processes to make it go. That's my biggest issue. If you all could fix that, maybe you will get more people to participate in the program. But until that happens, like myself, you're gonna be losing a lot of, good landlords that wanna see, wanna help the underserved population of Washington, be gainfully housed. But if you all are not gonna help on your side, then, a lot more of us are just gonna have to sell. So, and I thank you greatly for your time. And if you have anyone that can reach out to me that can assist me, I welcome it. And
Thank you, Mr.
thank you.
Hall.
All right.
Those are some really good comments, and we'll have someone follow up with you.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we're gonna go to Andy Wasanich. Andy Wasanich, we just sent your promotion request. Star 6 to begin your testimony.
Sorry, I'm here. Okay, sorry about that. Good afternoon, members of the board. Thank you for hearing my testimony. My name is Andy Wasanich. I am Policy Director at Miriam's Kitchen, a homeless services provider with the mission of ending chronic homelessness in the district. I'm here today to speak about the in-person process review that was held initially in July, with a follow-up session held on September 17th. First, I would like to begin by thanking Director Pettigrew and Director Shaw and their team for their responsiveness and for their organizing and participating in the process review. The facilitator, Ms. Sydney Jones-Ratliff, has been excellent and extremely knowledgeable. The sessions, including the most recent, have been positive and productive, and the energy in the room has been passionate and collaborative. I have left each session feeling hopeful about what will come of the process. However, as you spoke of a little bit earlier today, we are still waiting to see anything concrete come from this process review. There's been no word about next steps or adoption or implementation of any of the agreements or recommendations made in the room, and there have been many. It should be noted as well that all of the recommendations for changes to speed up the process of local voucher approval and lease up fall in DCHA's shop, so we cannot move forward until we get word and plans from DCHA. To that end, as Director Silla also mentioned, as a participant of the ICH, we would like to request that a representative from DCHA attend the upcoming ICH Housing Solutions Committee on October 20th, along with a representative from DHS to report out on what recommendations from the process review will be adopted and on what timeline. And then subsequently, we would like to call on DCHA and DHS to attend a new ICH working group on the expedited lease-up process going forward so that we may track progress and receive data and metrics on a monthly basis. Finally, while I am here and have your attention, I would be remiss if I did not again request that DCHA implement a continuum of care preference for the Housing Choice Voucher Program and for public housing. As you may be aware, the city's FY26 local budget contains very little in the way of housing resources for single adults. Our unsheltered and sheltered homeless populations are in desperate need of relief, and our system, already overwhelmed, cries out for us. What cries out for it? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Beatrice Evans. Ms. Evans, star 6 so that we can hear your testimony.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hi, I'm Beatrice Evans. I'm the president of the Triangle View and Milestone Senior Buildings. And I'm really concerned, this is public housing, the Triangle View, about the Rental Act, how our rights have been excluded from them. We're no longer even eligible to apply for the TOPA Act, right? And, I'm really concerned about the narrative that tenants are being portrayed, because the majority of tenants pay their rent on time, and we would like our services on time. And I also know that the landlords have a lot of violations, and no one's talking about the millions of dollars that they owe. And when a few people abuse the system, which needs to be fixed, that's what they want to put on the media. But the majority of tenants pay their rent. And and we need more education about what their rights are. And again, having only 10 days in the TOPA Act where they can go to serve you eviction notices. But just as the other lady heard some of the testimonies, those things actually happen. And when you got seniors who are memory loss, and I really say you really need to patch up those loopholes that allow people to abuse the system. And you need to make sure that when the inspectors come out, they follow up. And we would like to see that happening. And I can see in my neighborhood that DCHA is working, and I agree with the community days, but we need more communication and connection to y'all. Okay, so I think my time about out. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our final non-resident comment will come from Daniel Del Paliego.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon, board. My name is Daniel Del Pielago. I work with Empower DC, and we work with public housing residents and voucher holders around the city. Today, I'd like to ask how DCHA plans to communicate how the Rental Act will affect public housing residents. Although it has not been signed into law yet by the mayor, it appears to be a matter of time before that happens. I'm still a little confused because as I read the what's on limbs in the DC Council's website, it says for the Rental Act, the president of the Citywide Resident Advisory Board shall serve as an interim commissioner until the first commissioner described under Section 4AB is elected and takes office. So are you all still operating under the emergency? Are you operating under, the approved rental act that the council has voted on, which I doubt because the mayor has not signed off on it. So I think there's a lot of confusion, and there are some things in there that actually are good for public housing residents, and some of these changes to the board. I think tenants are owed a clear understanding of what's going to happen, and especially what are the plans for the election of the first resident elected commissioner. It's supposed to be as of October. I understand, that they're still actually waiting to vote and approve because of an amendment that happened. It's a little bit of a mess, and it still has to go to mayor and Congress. But nonetheless, I would encourage the housing authority to please begin to communicate to residents around those changes and how to prepare for this upcoming election of the first resident commissioner on the board. I'd also like to ask DCHA, I see that there's a resolution for the 10th extension of the administrative plan. An emergency extension, 10 extensions don't appear to be an emergency. So we'd like an understanding of why this admin plan is not ready for a permanent version. I understand a lot of stuff is going on the federal side, but nonetheless, I think we're owed an understanding of why, once again, their final one has not been brought to closure. Lastly, I want to ask, when it comes to relocation due to lead remediation, who at DCHA handles this? We've spoken to a few residents who want to know how the process works, as it's going to affect them personally, and in general, what is the guiding policy to these type of relocations? We've heard from some residents that get relocated, they don't return to their units, possibly because of right sizing, but I think there is some confusion on what are the rights and responsibilities of residents who are affected by this lead remediation relocation. With that, I'll close, and I hope to get some answers to the questions posed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So first of all, let me say that we are operating under the emergency legislation that was passed July 28th. And, I'll use the term that you put out there, which is the process is kind of messy. We, so as you indicated, the Rental Act has not been signed yet. So that once that goes into effect, we'll be operating under the Rental Act. And there's a process laid out in the Rental Act for appointing new board members or reappointing existing board members. And as soon as we know more, we'll be able to tell the public. And as of yet, we've not focused yet on the process for how the elections will work. But once the legislation is passed, we will develop a plan for holding the resident elections.
Can I just add though that I do want to correct though that the elections in both versions of the legislation though come at the end of this year. I believe there may have been a statement that it was October 1 for the elections, and that's not. So I do want to correct that statement as well. So yeah, we have a little time, but not.
Do you want to mention the lid?
Oh, yeah, so we can actually circle back with Mr. Del Peliago on that, but generally the lead is led by our construction team. So Daniel Denning or Jackie Zaldana, and then for any relocation, and it also goes to the OGC office. So I can circle back, and if you have any specific cases, we can talk through and then figure that out. Just to add, if there's any, I heard you say right sizing, that actually just follows the ACOP, and Carolyn's team can speak with you about that. But the lead piece, we can talk through if you have any questions. So I'll reach out to you.
Okay, that ends our public testimony. I want to thank everyone who took the time today to come before the board and provide testimony. So next, we're going to move on to our committee reports and resolutions. And I'm going to start. Commissioner Blackson is not here. He chairs the Resident Services Committee. I don't know if Commissioner Burbridge, I don't know if we can report out for the Resident Services Committee, or we can just wait until next month. Okay. Commissioner Burbridge, are you there? Since I'm not hearing anything.
I'm here. Bad connection, I'm sorry.
So I was asking about the Resident Services Committee. Commissioner Blackson's not here, so I didn't know if you could report out for that committee.
I couldn't because I didn't attend the meeting. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. So we'll postpone that report until the next meeting.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the Committee on Budget, Audit, and Finance, and that's chaired by Commissioner Reed.
Thank you, Chair. So we had a meeting of the committee just the other week. We discussed two of the resolutions that we'll be considering today, 2528 and 2530, which I think was also discussed in the Capital Committee as well. And we look forward to speaking about those and moving those today. We also talked a lot about the shutdown and how it is not impacting us right now, but obviously if it goes on for a prolonged period of time, there could be potential impacts. So the planning that the agency is doing in the event that happens. But I just want to make clear for all the residents, no impacts right now. We are good, and we will communicate if anything changes. And then we also got an update on our financials as we're starting the new fiscal year. We're excited to begin implementation of the FY26 budget. And then we received an update from the Office of Audit and Compliance, which most notably finished Compliance Week, which is their training sessions for our DCHA staff. They do instruction through games and other activities, and had a lot of great participation from agency staff. And that's all I have.
Okay, so there is a resolution which is 2528. Do you want to talk about that? That's to do the write-off tenant accounts receivable for vacated units.
Sure. And I may have Heather jump in if I say anything incorrect, but this resolution is really, so it's about writing off tenant receivables. This is a standard practice that is allowed by HUD. While the Housing Authority does everything it can to collect rents from tenants, there are times where tenants do leave units with rents unpaid, and the standard practice is to write these off. This hasn't been done in a number of years. Heather and her team have been working to catch us up in all things related to our finances that I know we've talked about as a board. So they've been able to determine the amount of write-off, which is just over $5.5 million. It doesn't mean that DCHA can't still go try to collect those rents, but we don't need to keep carrying them on our books. So the resolution today is asking the board for permission to write off these tenant receivables. I do recommend that the board approve this, and I will turn it over to Heather or Nicole to add anything.
You did great. This is Heather, CFO. That's it.
Yeah, I don't think we need to add anything else unless there are questions from any of the board members. If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 25-28.
So moved.
Is a second? Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote on resolution 25-28.
Leroy Clay,
Yes.
Ronnie Harris,
Yes.
Rosa Burbridge, Rosa Burbridge, Jenny Reed,
Yes.
Teresa Silla,
Yes.
Jim Dickerson,
Yes.
Chairman Skinner.
Yes.
Resolutions approved.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to the Committee on Capital Projects. Commissioner Murphy, who chairs that committee, is not with us today. So I'm going to ask Commissioner Clay to report on that committee.
Okay, thank you, Chair Chairman. We primarily during the meeting, committee meeting, talked about a couple of resolutions that are for you. If I may, I'll go ahead and talk through those resolutions.
Yes, you may.
All right. So the first resolution is resolution 2530. And it is to approve the authority to open up a $15 million line of credit with Key Bank. Just as a side note, Key Bank will also be the bank that issues the $700 million bonds. So they're kind of leading that process along with DMPED. The funds will be used for pre-development costs and will be reimbursed when the bonds are issued. So this is for the first 9 properties that we will be using IRBs for. The first bond issuance is expected to be around the second quarter of 2026. We will be looking to close on the line of credit. I think it's November 21st. DMPED selected Key Bank to issue the bonds. The interest rate on this will be about 4.96 to 5.11. This is below the market rate for a similar line of credit, which would probably be, which could be as high as 6%. So this is it's a good line of credit, good interest rate, and so we recommend that the board approve this resolution.
Any questions from the board members? Any of the board members online have any questions?
Chair, I don't have any questions, just to state this was also came to the Budget Audit and Finance Committee. And we also recommend that the board adopt this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Hearing that, can we get a motion to approve resolution 25-30 to obtain a $15 million line of credit with Key Bank?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Jim Dickerson,
Yes.
Jenny Reed,
Yes.
Teresa Silla,
Yes.
Leroy Clay,
Yes.
Rosa Burbridge.
Yes.
Thank you. Ronnie Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. Chairman Skinner.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
All right, great, thank you. Thank you. So the second resolution is resolution 2533. I think Sheila will talk a little bit about this, but this is the authorization for RAD closing for Park Morton Phase 1. This is Phase 1 of Park Morton, which was developed as a restore rebuild transaction, where the units are developed as mixed finance public housing and then converted to RAD. So just over a month ago, a few of us toured Park Morton, and the team really did exceptional work with the development. And we're looking forward to ribbon cutting, which will be this week. And so I'll turn it over to Sheila.
I really have nothing to add. You
Oh,
did a great
okay.
job. The authorization. Yeah, nothing to add unless there are questions.
Any questions?
Well, I will point out then that about 20 the residents are returning residents. Residents did have a right of return, and several attempts were made for the relocated residents. Some decided to move, some didn't, and some decided that they wanted to wait until Phase 2. So I do want to point out that the residents who had been relocated did have the first right to return.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Harris, I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do have a number of residents that we were not able to reach in regards to the option of coming back now or later?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the
Well,
question?
Were you able to reach a number of the residents that
We
returned?
reached the majority. I mean, yeah, there might have been a handful that we weren't able to reach, but we made several attempts through email, through mailers, through phone. Sometimes phone numbers or emails might bounce back, phone numbers may be disconnected, but we've made several attempts. Not just our team, but also the property management team as well.
So I think her question implied would relocated residents be able to return to future phase?
Oh,
Right,
absolutely.
to the 2 and 3
Absolutely.
phases for it.
There are 2 phases, yes. And there's a future phase, Bruce Monroe, that's further down, but absolutely.
So they'll
They do
be
not
able
lose
to
their right
return.
to return.
Okay, great. That's
Right, I just want to make sure that, they go back into the rotation, at some point for Phase 2. The last phones may be off now because maybe they just didn't have any more minutes or things of that nature, or couldn't pay the bill right at that time. But if they're going to be on a rotation, then I'm good. Thank you.
Absolutely. They will not lose their right to return.
Is there a way that we can leverage the press attention that we are likely to get from the openings and things of that nature to amplify and highlight that message? Because that is likely going to catch the attention of former residents who might have missed your communication attempts. So as we are talking to press, or as we are issuing press releases about, can we uplift and highlight, for anybody who wishes to return that may have missed this opportunity, please contact XYZ.
Yeah, we can certainly look into that.
Yeah.
We have a list of all the relocated residents, and so, yeah, through that outreach, if they contact us, we can certainly accommodate that. Great suggestion.
Thank you. All right, so can I get a motion to approve resolution 25-33?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
If there are no further questions, I'll have a roll call vote on resolution 25-33.
Commissioner Ronnie Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Jim Dickerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosa Burbridge, Commissioner Rosa Burbridge, Commissioner Leroy Clay,
Yes.
Commissioner Jennifer Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Teresa Silla,
Yes.
and Chairman Skinner.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Okay, so next we're going to move on to the Committee on Operations and Administrative Services. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Silla to provide that report.
Thank you, Chair. Our committee has a very large purview. So we identified areas of focus at the opening of our meeting and really focused in on public affairs updates, regulatory policy updates, and public safety, in addition to the review of one of the resolutions that's in front of you. The second resolution that there is a second resolution that is associated with our committee and that emerged as an area that we agreed needed to come before the board as part of the conversation at the committee level. Let me quickly walk you through the conversation at the committee level and then the resolutions, if that's okay, but I can also do the inverse if that's works better.
Yeah, let's do the inverse.
Okay. In that case, let me introduce the resolutions, but then also really lean on the Housing Authority staff for any additional details. The resolution that was before us and that we deliberated was related to the payment standards for the DC Housing Authority. There has been an adjustment in the payment standards. When we looked at the resolution, indicated that it would be really important to help people understand what that difference is and to compare those payment standards next to one another, because there has been a change. DC Housing Authority staff did integrate that. We also noted that they did an analysis. They reported out an analysis to determine how many residents would be impacted by the change in the payment standard. We greatly appreciated that effort. And so we would love to hear more about I think the board would be also delighted to hear about the effort to understand who this impacts and the kinds of support that those residents might need.
Right, and I'll just add, as Anton is coming up, so every year HUD is going to publish area median incomes. So although our payment standard percentage did not change, that changed. So that drives that. So I just want to clarify, we didn't change our payment standard percentage, right? But the published incomes changed.
Fair market rents.
Fair market rents changed.
They did.
I'm on AMIs,
Yeah.
So it was published by HUD, so that changed, so that changes the amount.
Good afternoon, everyone. Anton Shaw, Director of the Housing Choice Voucher Program. So the good news is that HUD did, well, that's not the good news. HUD did reduce the fair market rents, but it was less than 3%. So the percentage of our families who will be affected is actually less than 1%. That equates to about 82 families, which is good. They won't be affected until either the recertification date or if those families decide to move once their lease is up. We still want to keep our payment standards at 187%. It will not, again, affect the majority of our families. I think 82 families out of over close to 14,000 leased up is excellent. And it will not affect the families in an adverse way where it will be a burden to them with their rent. So my request, of course, today is for you all to approve the resolution 25-31 to keep the payment standards at 187%. And that helps our families to move to areas of non-concentrated poverty. And it's been successful in the past, and I think it will continue to be successful.
So I'm going to ask the question. I hope it doesn't open a can of worms, but I'll ask it anyway. You know, like when I first came on the board 3 years ago now, I guess, we hadn't adopted a payment standard for, I think, several years. So we had to go back and do that, which we've done. And we've kept it the same for the last couple of years, which is 187% of median income. And so in implementing that, we are doing what we call the rent reasonableness process. And I haven't heard anything recently about that, particularly negative from landlords about the rent reasonableness.
That's I hear that.
So how is that going?
So the good news is my staff, we make sure we take extra effort to educate landlords. On phone calls, I do the same thing to let them know that we're being 100% fair, objective. We're looking at the comps for the areas of where their properties are. So we're not just pulling numbers out of the air. And once they see the facts and they see the numbers, they've been accepting the rent reasonableness and accepting the rents.
What's the name of the
affordablehousing.com?
Affordablehousing.com is the platform we use.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So that was easy.
No worries. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
We were especially appreciative of the analysis and identifying the number of residents that would be impacted. I thought that was.
Okay. Where does the 187% come from?
The 187%?
Yeah, I know
The maximum allowable by HUD, isn't it?
Well, no, so you can, so generally what happens usually they'll say 110%, right? And then you do go out and you do studies of the market and you start looking at different rents and area to come up with that payment standard. So a methodology would have been done prior to say, in order to serve families, we can't do it here at 110%. We wouldn't lease up anybody. So at 187%, we feel like we can lease up, more within that. Again, and the last few years, Anton works with John Walshak, which is our consultant. They revisit the numbers just to see, are we good at the 187? Do we need to decrease or do we need to go back to HUD and ask for an increase? So we're standing.
So when we talked about this before, one of the concerns was to making sure that we opened up the marketplace so that our voucher holders would have an opportunity to live anywhere in the city, particularly west of the park.
Yes.
And so that's part of the reason for having the 187%, because the rents are higher in some of those areas.
And we actually use our moving to work flexibility to go this high. Most agencies can't do that. And so it's one of the things that we can do to try to create these housing opportunities. So for what it's worth, so that we can go up to 187% right now.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So
yes, the second resolution.
no, wait a minute. We didn't.
Oh, we didn't. I thought it was a foregone conclusion.
We have to record the vote. So I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 25-31 to adopt the payment standard for FY 2026.
Motion.
So move.
Second. Any other questions? If not, we'll take a roll call vote on 25-31.
Teresa Silla,
Yes.
Ronnie Harris,
Yes.
Jenny Reed,
Yes.
Jim Dickerson,
Yes.
Leroy Clay,
Yes.
Rosa Burbridge, Raymond Skinner.
Yes.
Resolutions approved.
Okay. Commissioner Silla?
The second resolution, yes, this one's a little bit more complicated. It was actually upon our discussion of the homeless preference that we realized that we needed to authorize an emergency extension and publication of the proposed regulations. The details of why I'm sorry, Amy, I cannot keep track of these details. I have to wait on you.
I got you. Do you want me?
So I'm gonna jump in the middle and then I'm gonna throw it to you.
Okay, sorry.
So we extended it because we heard everyone, right? To put
Yes.
in the preference. So that's the reason why you couldn't put a final out there, because we're working through that preference.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna go to you for the.
So we have, right, so we've been operating under an emergency admin plan, and this is the plan that governs our voucher program. We had published for comment a new admin plan. However, after we put it out and comments were due a little while ago, and, we had scheduled a public hearing, as some people knew, some of the advocates, who may be listening in and participants and others, we started having some discussions about adding in a homeless preference and maybe making some other changes. And so because we didn't want to go through 2 hearings and comment periods and all this stuff, we said, you know what? Let's leave it out there because, honestly, if we're going to make some changes, they may not be that substantial, but let's hold off having the hearing. Let's hold off, requiring comments to be due. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's figure out what changes we're going to make. So we are here to request some, an extension to the admin plan regs that we have been working, we've had out there for some time with no changes. But we do anticipate putting out an updated version of what has been out for public comment that, may include some additional tweaks based on these internal conversations. So that's really the upshot of, I think, is that fair? Okay.
Yes, and Amy, just to be clear, at that point, we would be able to have a public comment period and therefore take feedback from individuals on both what we are proposing for the homeless preference as well as the rest of the admin plan.
Yes.
And then finalizing it based on the comments that we receive.
Yeah, but we really are trying to move to final, and that is, and as I think we've been pretty transparent about, that's really our remaining issue with the open HUD findings. And, I think, Mr. Del Pielego, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name, expressed this, but, we really are trying to get out of the emergency cycle as well. So that, this really is an effort to get to final regs as well. But because this sort of came up right as we were, trying to move to final, we thought it makes sense to delay a little bit more so that we can get this right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So
That is
the resolution.
any questions or any of the commissioners online? Any questions? If none, then we'll have a motion to approve resolution 25-32.
Motion.
Second? Second. Okay, we have a roll call vote. This is on resolution 25-32.
Rosa Burbridge,
Yes. Oh, excuse me.
thank you. Tim Dickerson,
Yes.
Leroy Clay,
Yes.
Jennifer Reed,
Yes.
Teresa Silla,
Yes.
Ronnie Harris,
Yes.
and Chairman Skinner.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution
Okay.
approved.
Thank you. So Commissioner Silla, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So in terms of the areas of focus for the meetings, it was public affairs, regulatory and policy updates, and public safety that took up the majority of our time. So in public affairs, we got a really significant update from Allison about the work that her and PMO have been doing to feature our sites site by site on the website. We were so pleased with the mock-ups that we saw. I don't know if the website has been updated and those are available quite yet, but it was very impressive to see the kind of work that has gone into making the profile of our properties available to people. And I think it'll really work well when the wait list opens up for people to be able to really understand what the Housing Authority portfolio looks like. It was so beautifully done and included so many key aspects that we need to be promoting. So it was a pleasure to see that work, and really appreciate it to Allison and Caroline and their teams for that effort. Under regulatory and policy updates, you just got it. It's very difficult to wrap our heads around it. I do want to also thank the Housing Authority staff, both for Carolyn on the ACOP side, Amy and Hamara on the admin side. They sent me initial language for a homeless preference. I have sent them additional feedback. I hope that there will be additional rounds once they take that feedback into consideration. I'm also really grateful for Commissioner Harrison Blackson. They're very interested in the topic and are eager to really dive in as well. Commissioner Blackson recommended that I do an education symposium for resident council, especially resident council leaders, in case they have questions about the homeless preference and really want to understand what that might mean for public housing properties and residents. Yeah,
Yeah, I
current
think that's a
resident.
great idea.
And I, it would be my pleasure to do a board education symposium for the board itself as well. So those were a part of that discussion. For public safety, this unexpectedly took up quite a bit of our time. When we were looking at the data, for example, we noticed there were comparisons. I'm first and foremost, thank you so much for all the work the DC Housing Authority team has done in terms of really building out the data that they are sharing with our committee on a monthly basis. It is quite, yes. But I'm telling you, the details that they go into for our committee is quite impressive. We did notice that compared to last fiscal year, there is almost a 3 times increase in terms of offenses that have been flagged. Chief Reese really reassured us that these are things that are happening within 75 meters of the property, but not on the property itself. Given the amount of resident concerns about their safety and their security, we've asked for him to support that with a little bit of a breakdown, either by property or showing us what's within versus outside of DC Housing Authority, and he has kindly agreed to give us that update. Because that took so much of our time, we didn't have the kind of time we would like to have dedicated to public housing, voucher programs and procurement. I did want to recognize, especially because of Chris Oten's feedback earlier, first and foremost, that I have noticed that a larceny in the response time that DC Housing Authority staff are addressing complaints that come in and that the board has been copied on. So I do apologize, that experience was not the same for Mr. Oden, but and I hope that, going forward that he will see a different kind of response and feedback, but I have noticed that there is an immediate response to the complaints that at least are hitting my inbox. Some of the issues that he identified, especially around inspections and complaints, we will be talking through when at our next committee meeting. So just wanted to make sure he understood his feedback, even though it was cut short due to limited time. We heard it loud and clear, Mr. Oten, and that will be the focus area for our conversation this month.
That's good. Are you done?
Oh, yeah, I'm done. Sorry, I thought that was a really long update, and I just felt really bad about taking up so much time.
So, thank you. Thank you for all the committee chairs and committee members for the hard work that you do. So, we come to these monthly board meetings once a month and we're here for 2 hours, but in between a lot of work gets done. Most of the work gets done in terms of the committees reviewing issues, policies, going through the resolutions and so forth. So again, as chair of the board, I just want to thank all of you for your participation. So at this time, one of our former board members of the STAR board, the former STAR board, Katrina Jones, left us a couple of months ago. She's still around, but she resigned from the board. So in what we'd like to do is to present a proclamation today to recognize her for her exemplary service to the DC Housing Authority. So there is a proclamation, it's Proclamation 25-02 to recognize and honor Katrina D. Jones for exemplary service to the District of Columbia Housing Authority. And it says there are several whereas clauses, which I'm not going to read, but the bottom line is now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the DCHA Board of Commissioners, through adoption of this proclamation, to recognize Katrina D. Jones for dedication to service and to sincerely thank her for her commitment to a better quality of life for all residents of DCHA. Adopted by the Board of Commissioners and signed this 8th day of October 2025. Okay, thank you. So commissioners' times, any other issues, comments commissioners want to bring up at this time? No, we've covered a lot of territory today, right? So hearing none, the next Board of Commissioners meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 1 p.m. via Zoom. Information regarding viewing or participating in the meeting live can be found at www.dchousing.org. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move.
Second.
Second.
Okay, the meeting is now adjourned at 2:32 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.